This is not a story about becoming positive. This is not a story about healing light. This is a story about the darkness inside you that already controls your life, whether you admit it or not. The first thing no one tells you about the shadow is that it does not appear as darkness. It appears as irritation, as judgment, as a quiet discomfort you feel when someone else expresses a trait you secretly dislike, but cannot explain why. Carl Jung never described the shadow as evil, yet people feared it as if it were a monster waiting to devour them. In truth, the shadow is far more intimate than that. It is not something that attacks you from the outside. It is something that breathes with you, walks with you, and waits patiently for the moment you are honest enough to look inward. From the moment you are born, you are shaped by approval. A smile from your parents teaches you what is acceptable. A frown teaches you what is not. Slowly, almost invisibly, you begin to edit yourself. Anger becomes dangerous. Sensitivity becomes weakness. Desire becomes shame. Confidence becomes arrogance. And so, piece by piece, you begin to exile parts of yourself into a psychological basement. Jung called the shadow, not because they were wrong, but because they were inconvenient. You learn early that love is conditional. You are loved when you behave, when you adapt, when you fit into the image others have of you. So you perform. You become the good child, the strong one, the quiet one, the achiever, the caretaker. And every role you accept pushes something else away. That rejected part does not disappear. It waits. Jung observed that what we deny within ourselves does not remain silent. It returns in disguised forms. It appears in our relationships, our reactions, our obsessions, and our dreams. You might pride yourself on being calm, yet feel uncontrollable rage at minor inconveniences. You might see yourself as kind, yet feel an intense dislike toward certain people without reason. You might believe you are selfless, yet feel secretly resentful when others do not appreciate you enough. These contradictions are not flaws. They are messages. The shadow communicates through emotional intensity. Wherever you feel a reaction that is stronger than the situation requires, something unconscious is speaking. Jung believed that projection is the shadow's favorite language. We accuse others of what we cannot accept in ourselves. We shame them, criticize them, admire them excessively, or become emotionally dependent on them. The traits we deny within ourselves gain power when we encounter them outside. A man who rejects his vulnerability may feel inexplicably irritated by emotional people. A woman who suppresses her ambition may feel threatened by confident women. A person who denies their selfish impulses may attract selfish partners repeatedly. The shadow is not random. It is precise. It points directly to what you refuse to see. Jung warned that the greatest danger is not the shadow itself, but unconsciousness. A shadow that is acknowledged can be integrated. A shadow that is ignored becomes destructive. When people refuse to face their shadow, it begins to live their life for them. They sabotage relationships, repeat painful patterns, and make choices that contradict their conscious values. Then they wonder why life feels heavy, why they feel stuck, why fulfillment always seems just out of reach. The shadow grows stronger in environments that demand perfection. Societies that reward constant positivity, productivity, and moral superiority create individuals who are deeply fragmented inside. When you are told to stay positive while feeling grief, grief does not vanish. It becomes bitterness. When anger is labeled toxic, it does not dissolve. It becomes passive aggression. When desire is shamed, it does not disappear. It becomes obsession. Jung believed that the shadow contains not only darkness, but vitality, creativity, assertiveness, sexuality, instinct, and power often live in the shadow because they were once discouraged or misunderstood. Many people mistake shadow work as a process of confronting evil, but in reality, it is often a process of reclaiming life force. The shadow holds the parts of you that refuse to die. When the world told you to be smaller, to encounter the shadow is unsettling because it dismantles the image you have, carefully constructed about yourself. You want to believe you are good, rational, mature, healed. The shadow interrupts that narrative. It shows you jealousy when you believed you were secure. It shows you cruelty when you believed you were compassionate. It shows you fear when you believed you were strong. This confrontation can feel like psychological death. Jung famously said that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Enlightenment, in his view, was not purity. It was wholeness. And wholeness requires the courage to accept that you are not only what you present to the world, but also what you hide from it. Shadow work is not about indulging destructive impulses. It is about understanding them. When you understand why anger exists within you, it no longer controls you. When you understand your envy, it becomes information instead of poison. When you understand your selfishness, it reveals unmet needs rather than moral failure. Awareness transforms energy. The process is slow and often uncomfortable. The shadow does not reveal itself all at once. It emerges in moments of emotional friction, in the argument that lingers in your mind long after it ends, in the jealousy you justify, in the resentment you rationalize, in the dreams that disturb you. Jung considered dreams to be one of the purest expressions of the shadow because the unconscious speaks in symbols when language fails. Many people begin shadow work expecting relief and instead encounter resistance. The ego does not like being questioned. It has survived by maintaining control and consistency. When the shadow threatens that structure, the ego defends itself with denial, intellectualization, or spiritual bypassing. This is why people often turn shadow work into a performance, talking about darkness without actually touching it. True shadow work requires radical honesty. Not self-hatred, but self-observation. It asks uncomfortable questions. Why did that comment hurt me so deeply? What do I gain by holding on to this resentment? What part of me feels unseen right now? Who am I when no one is watching? These questions do not produce immediate answers. They open doors. As the shadow becomes conscious, something unexpected happens. You stop being controlled by moral extremes. You no longer need to prove that you are good, kind, or evolved. You begin to tolerate complexity within yourself. You can be loving and angry, confident and afraid, generous and self-protective. This internal permission reduces the need to project onto others. Relationships change when shadow work begins. You stop expecting others to carry the parts of you that you refuse to own. You stop idealizing and demonizing. Love becomes less desperate, less conditional. Conflict becomes information instead of threat. Jung believed that psychological maturity was not the absence of inner conflict, but the ability to hold it without fragmentation. The shadow never disappears. Integration does not mean elimination. It means relationship. The shadow becomes a source of guidance rather than sabotage. You recognize its voice before it takes control. You learn to listen without obeying blindly. This creates inner authority. Jung saw the integration of the shadow as a necessary step toward individuation. The process of becoming who you truly are beyond societal roles and unconscious conditioning. Individuation is not a destination. It is a lifelong dialogue between the conscious and unconscious. The shadow is not an enemy on this path. It is a teacher. People often ask whether shadow work ever ends. Jung would say that as long as you are alive, new shadows will form. Every new identity, every new role, every new phase of life creates new blind spots. Growth does not eliminate darkness. It refines awareness. The tragedy of modern psychology is not that people have shadows, but that they are taught to fear them. When darkness is denied, it becomes dangerous. When it is acknowledged, it becomes human. Jung did not offer comfort. He offered responsibility. To know yourself fully is to accept that you are capable of both creation and destruction, and to choose consciously rather than unconsciously. In the end, shadow work is not about becoming someone else. It is about returning to yourself. Not the polished self, not the approved self, but the whole self. The self that can look inward without flinching. The self that understands that light without shadow is not enlightenment, but blindness. And perhaps the darkest truth Jung ever revealed was this: the shadow you fear is not what will ruin you. The shadow you ignore already is. If this story made you uncomfortable, that's not a bad sign. It means something inside you was listening. The shadow doesn't disappear when the video ends. It waits, in your reactions, in your silence, in the parts of you you still avoid. Carl Jung believed that awareness is the beginning of freedom. Not perfection, not purity, but honesty. So take a moment after this ends. Don't scroll immediately. Notice what stayed with you. The thought you resisted. The feeling you couldn't name. This channel exists for those moments. For minds that are not afraid of depth. For people who are ready to see themselves clearly. If you want to continue this journey into the unconscious, subscribe to the Infinite Mind. Not for motivation, not for comfort, but for understanding. Because the moment you stop running from your shadow, it stops controlling